People always talk to me about the lack of self-control they have. Now, I find it a very simple way to understand this. The reason behind having a lack of self-control is generally because you don't see enough value or merit in what it is that you were trying to achieve, the thing you were trying to stop yourself from, or the thing that you were trying to gain from the task at hand. Now, a lot of people are like, yeah, but it's easier said than done. I go, okay, so let's put it into perspective. For example, if you were in a monogamous relationship and the value and the understanding is that you were exclusive to this person, you're always going to have temptation around you. It doesn't mean that you're going to find yourself with the lack of self-control all the time, jumping on top of someone else. The idea is that you have found enough reward in the relationship you have, the commitment you have, and there is value and an understanding as to you not having to fall with the lack of self-control. The same thing goes for a diet. Now, a diet, most people are like, oh yeah, I always fall off the wagon. Well, then you don't find enough value in what it is you are trying to achieve. The reward is then far being outweighed by your instant gratification needed in that moment rather than the joy of what is to come and the journey itself. But people are like, okay, but a relationship is way more serious than something of a diet. Well, no, they can be exactly on the same playing field. It just depends on what you value and what it is that you believe or your morals kind of hold with high regard for yourself. Now, I look at them as they can be the exact same thing. A lot of people are like, well, why have you been so successful with, for example, your nutrition or your training or etc. And I'm like, well, I hold it with high regard. It is important to me. I have a great value for it. So that is why I will stick to it. That is why there is no need for a lack of self-control in a statement like such. If you fall off a wagon, if you make a mistake, if you have an error, it's not because of then a lack of self-control. It is because then you are a human. You will then look at what that error is and fix and mend and mold and transform it to be better and your behavior to change as time goes on. Most people that catch themselves out with a lack of self-control have a behavioral issue. Now, it may just be to one specific realm, but you generally find people, for example, that really struggle with, for example, self-control around food. They have the same issues with their careers, their friendships, relationships. Their whole behavior and attitude has a lack of value or disregard for something greater, some great reward, and for the journey itself. So my advice, if you find yourself catching yourself out with a lack of self-control, find value in what it is you are trying to achieve. And if there is no value, then don't bang yourself up about it. It is what it is. You've chosen that. But really understand what the value is, whether it is, yes, a long-term reward, maybe instant gratification, it may be the journey itself, but it needs to be worth it enough for you to stick it out, that it is no longer a chore, but it is a part of your life. It is a behavior that is a part of your journey rather than something that is super hard to achieve because it's maybe potentially not your vision, it's not your goal, it's what the world around you, the environment, the people around you have told you need to achieve. Once it becomes your goal, your vision, you will then hold it with enough high esteem and enough high regard that the values align with what you believe, and then it is easy for you to achieve or easier for you to achieve. So know what it is that you want and actually stick it out. And if it's not what you want, change it so it suits you best.